Let's start the meeting by singing the national anthem. And from Cardinal Hayes High School, we have Oscar Massey and Dylan Means and the Cardinal Hayes Cardinal Singers.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars to the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was Oscar Massey and Dylan Means. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Every year, I always think maybe it'd be a good idea to start this with a joke, but I never have done it. But my boss always walks up to me and says, "Hey, did you hear this one?" So this is a banking joke. And one of the things I said to him when he said, "No, it's about banking," and I said, "Bankers are not funny people. We're just not." But the bankers in the room, and maybe some of the clients too, I'm sorry, will know, we'll get the answer to this joke. What did the banker say to his client? No. That's a joke. Maybe. But we are going to be getting into later on, I think Raphael will address our loan production last year and what the Business Initiative Corp and its member banks produced. And it's not just member banks that are working on the BIC. We have check cashing. We have other, is our deputy here? There she is. No, deputy chair, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sandra Erickson is a realtor. We have insurance people. Yeah, she's not here today. So there's a lot of different disciplines represented, attorneys, CPAs. I'm not sure if Dio Singh here is a CPA. So I want to first address our sponsors, and I appreciate the sponsors that we have very much. Webster Bank, right here, and here. TD Bank, right? The Emerald Society right there. Bank of America, I'm not sure. Thank you. At the platinum tier, Empire State Bank. Table 12, thank you. Ponce Bank, where's Madeline? Our former ED. JP Morgan Chase and Company, thank you, JP Morgan. At the gold tier, Right Check. Thank you, Howard. Con Edison, where's Con Edison? Silver tier, my friends from Flushing Bank. Salsa Caterers and Special Events. Johnson Security Bureau. At the bronze tier, Orange Bank and Trust. Anthony Mormile, thank you so much for your sponsorship and participation. Ridgewood Savings Bank. Thank you, Ridgewood. And our partners at the SBDC at Lehman College. And by the way, has everybody noticed that you get as many, if not more, emails from Clarence Stanley after he retired? It's not just me, right? And I told him there are reruns on TV during the daytime. You don't have to do this. The SCORE, the Senior Citizens Organization for Retired Executives, the Council of Retired Executives, and the U.S., of course, the United States Small Business Administration. So I also, getting back to the board, I want to introduce, and if you're here, stand up, Sieta Shan, Dolores Batista, Gus Petrago, Ralph Bombaca, TD Bank, Joe Coleman, Rosa Diaz, my vice chair, Sandra Erickson, George Grace, Raul Geraldo, Jessica Johnson, of course, myself, Anthony Mormile, our deputy, who I'll introduce shortly, Janet Piguero, Mark Simshauser, Dio Singh, CPA, Rob Walsh, of course, president of the BOEDC, and I guess Dio is feeling, we have Dio Singh twice, so he does contribute a lot. I want to talk about the 504, and for those of you who don't know how the 504 program works, please leave now. No, the 504 is specifically, like every other SBA program, about economic development. We're here to create and save jobs, and that's what we do. We work with our member banks to source clients, potential borrowers who are looking to expand their business, buy the real estate that they're occupying in, or buy equipment. These are all great reasons to have a 504 loan. For the banks, from the bank's perspective, no, from the borrower's perspective, excuse me, it allows them little or no out of pocket, so you could go to 10%. Some people do more. But there's cases when you're doing expansion that you can get 100% financing virtually. It also increases your participation, but you do have to participate. That's the 10%. 40% is the Business Initiative Corporation from New York, because there are no other CDCs in New York, as we all know. We get all your business, right? So the CDC does 40% and issues a debenture or a bond every 3 months after one of our loan closes. And then the banks get 50% of the responsibility. And that 50% is a boon to the bank, right? The lower your participation in a deal, the lower you're lending out, the better it looks on a regulator. Look, we only got 50% of this loan. It looks better. That means your capital set-asides are reduced, right? You don't have to set aside as much for loan losses. Banks like to see, right? Greg Gould from Webster Bank's SBA group is here. Banks love that. Some banks issue every loans under 350 as part of the 7A program. We don't, other banks don't do that, but the 7A program is a little different. And the reason we don't use at Webster's 7A loans in equipment financing for owner occupants or people who are looking to buy or expand their current building is because in New York City, the mortgage recording tax can be as high as 2.875%. So that's a huge thing to be able to not pay on the 40% that the BIC issues that mortgage recording tax. On the max loan we can do, which is about $5 million, that means you can do a $12 million or thereabouts loan at your bank with only $6 million of exposure. The SBA comes in and does the other, guarantees the other half, and there's no mortgage recording tax. So it offsets about $135,000 on a $5 million loan. That offsets a great deal of expenses. It takes too long. No, it doesn't. We can close deals as fast as 60 days, because one of the things I encourage banks to do, that I do, is to submit the loan simultaneously to our underwriter, to the BIC, our underwriters at IDS. Tom Wallace, where are you? They do a phenomenal job. And they do turn around. And yes, it is a government agency, and they are picky about their stuff, but it is what it is. Every bank works with picky underwriters. It's what they do for a living. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I remember we got some underwriters. It is what it is. Their job is to protect the bank's assets, right? So that's what they're doing. And this is protecting the depositors, right? Because they're ultimately protecting the FDIC from banks making bad loans. 504 loans, though, are sold. Somebody walks in, wants a mortgage, the first question you have to ask as a banker, or if you're trying to recommend it, is, do you own the building that you're in? Or how much do you want to put down? These are all factors that go towards a 504 loan that make it more attractive to close. And understanding the closing times are not longer. They can be if there's no cooperation, but closing times aren't longer. Consider 504s, consider selling them if instead of a 7A, especially in New York City, where your mortgage recording tax is so high. But even the close-in environs, the mortgage recording tax takes a big bite out of a borrower at the closing. Are we going to sell more 504 loans? Yeah. Please, thank you. That's the benefits. I have to introduce the borough president, but I wanted to make a comment. Every year we give out awards for banks and people that have contributed to the Business Initiative Corporation and their efforts. And frankly, it's getting tiresome to hear the same names every year. So I want to hear more names. I want to give Ridgewood and some of the other banks an award every year for producing loans as well. I believe they did win in the past, though. Yeah. So talk about 504 lending and bringing in new deals. We also have another program we're coming out, which I think somebody might address later on. I'm very excited to introduce the Deputy Borough President. And the reason being is because not that every politician has a good grasp on economic development. Janet, in particular, has a phenomenal grasp. As a matter of fact, she also sits on the New York City IDA board, and which is, I don't want to downplay her role as Deputy Borough President, but that to me is more important. Because we're all economic development people, right? We're all here. We understand that the loans that we make and the deposit services that we provide jobs and provide economic security for the residents of the city of New York, and particularly the Bronx. That's what our goal is. I'm not going to get into, Janet said don't read this whole thing, and I'm not going to, but she did, she was at the New York City Department of Small Business Services, began the Division of Business Services there, managing the agency's pro bono legal services for businesses, and also a first-of-its-kind commercial lease assistance program. Again, Madam Deputy, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. You know, just like you last year, I made a joke, and it got back to my husband. So this year, I'm not going to make any jokes, just to be on the safe side. But good morning, buenos dias. What a pleasure to have you all here. For those who didn't know, Bigney was recently highlighted in Crain's, New York as one of the top SBA lenders in the state of New York. And so, Mr. Chairman, I know that with your leadership and our Executive Director, Rafael Roger, we are on the path to continue that momentum. And again, another shameless plug to add to our very own Rafael Roger, our Executive Director of Bigney. Yes, stand up, please. He was selected. Yes, Rafael. I hope you feel the love, because the love is real, but that's because you pour into our businesses with so much love. I just wanted to highlight that Mr. Roger was selected by the National Association for Latino Community Asset Builders to participate in the inaugural class of their nationwide fellowship program, the only representation from the Bronx. Rafael, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Bueno, señores, now to the good part. Again, good morning and welcome to our 2023 Bankers Breakfast during Bronx Week. And in true Bronx fashion, Bronx Week is just not a week. It's how many days, Madam President? 13 days, because when you're from the Bronx, you just do things differently. I want to express gratitude for each and every one for showing up this morning. Your presence here today is a testament to your dedication and commitment to expanding the investment and banking opportunities in our borough, and for that, I commend you. Bronx Week is about showing off what beauty we are, our vibrancy, our creativity, the birthplace of hip hop, the birthplace of salsa, the birthplace of all these beautiful natural resources like the Kingsbridge Armory, the largest armory in the world, yes, right here in the Bronx. And throughout this week, we've done a lot to show off the beauty of our borough. If you know me, I love to brag about the Bronx, but I wouldn't be the deputy if I don't also highlight the challenges that as a community we face. All the progress that we have made thus far, as mentioned by the chairman, as a borough has been done under long shadows of historical disinvestments. Despite living in one of the richest cities in the world, the wealth has far too long been confined to the other side of the Harlem River. It's time that those with the power to make a difference for the people who live in the Bronx step up and make a change. Yes, clap for that. Our residents are looking to you and counting on you. The hardworking people of the Bronx are looking for opportunities to help their families grow and thrive, as the chairman mentioned. Most of us are immigrants or children of immigrants, first generation. Yes, we are. I'm an immigrant myself. Who've come to this country looking for the American dream. However, despite these ethos and desires, we have been held back because no one has given us a fair shot. But the joke's on them and those who didn't believe. Because the Bronx is brimming with creativity and ideas, and the people with the capacity to build businesses, create jobs, and bring change to our communities, for so long have been unwilling or discouraged to do so for us. We have inadequate access to capital for generations, a lack of credible financial institutions that have led to a cycle of poverty that have made it very difficult for us to break. And I don't need to explain to you that more banking means healthier businesses and in turn a healthier society. Before I was Deputy Borough President, as the chairman mentioned, I worked for the Department of Small Business Services. And during my time there, the focus was very much Brooklyn, no shade to the other borough with the letter B, and very much Manhattan. And yes, I know the data speaks for itself. We have a larger concentration of businesses in these boroughs. But can we imagine for a second a world where when we focus and water the plants of other communities, the potential that will begin to grow, the potential that we have right here? So at SBS, I was the Bronx girl who spent her time door knocking and canvassing businesses that no one wanted to touch. Justin could attest to that because I dragged them down Jerome Avenue. And you see, as I've shared with many of you before, my partner is a small business owner, and those who are married to a small business owner know that you are co-owner, and you never stop, and the work never stops. And so he very much holds me accountable each and every day on how government can make it easier for the smaller mom and pops, for the generational businesses to really thrive. And so I know that having access to good financial institutions and having access to lines of credit are crucial to the success and or failure of startups and longstanding generational businesses. Too many small businesses in the Bronx are not loan ready, not because they don't want to be loan ready, but because we haven't created an environment that encourages them and lends to them and supports them to become loan ready. But this does not only affect their small businesses. Far too long, residents of the Bronx have limited access to financial resources that other boroughs have benefited from. We are the most underbanked borough in the city of New York, right here. And I'm stating this right here at the Bankers Breakfast because it's important for all of you bankers to understand the critical data around this. In 2017, nearly 10,000 Bronx households did not have access to banking services or a bank account. An analysis in 2020 showed that there were more alternative financial institutions like check cashiers and pawn shops than banks in almost every neighborhood in the Bronx. And so you all have a responsibility. Things are changing, and over the past decade, the Bronx has experienced a record-setting growth. There are now more businesses in the borough than ever before. The number of businesses grew by 17% in the 2010s, reaching over almost 18,000 in the recent years. Private sector employment increased by 21% during the same period, reaching a record-breaking of 240,000 jobs. The unemployment rate in the Bronx has decreased by more than half since the height of the pandemic, dropping from 16% to 7%. The Bronx is on the rise, y'all. Yes, we are. And for those who slept on us for far too long, again, the joke's on you. Currently, again, I must mention that we still remain the population with the highest underbanked and banking access. So bankers, that just means that you have more customers in the borough of the Bronx than any other borough in the city of New York. Hello. And for those businesses that you cannot support, send them our way. We're happy to welcome them. The point I'm trying to make here is to quote an African proverb, along we run fast, together we run far. I stole that from one of my staffers' signature, David Coulibaly, don't tell him. But together we can rewrite this narrative. And no shade to my girl Beyonce's world tour, but the real renaissance is happening right here in the borough of the Bronx. We have new development that are underway and are currently being planned. The third at Bankside, Bronx Point, Fordham Landing, the Peninsula Spofford development, the 4 new Metro North stations, Hunts Point, Parkchester, Van Ness, Morris Park, Co-op City. And the entrepreneurship spirit is still alive and well right here in the Bronx. We can see that with new restaurants that are being opened up, new coffee shops. As a child growing up, I wanted to find other alternatives to study spaces other than the library. And we didn't have Starbucks, we didn't have local coffee shops, we had our bodegas. But now I see a new generation being able to go to these coffee shops, these workspaces, and study and thrive and build a network, something that for me was alien as a child. We're also making huge investments in the Universal Hip Hop Museum, La Central YMCA, the Bronx Children's Museum. I grew up without a children's museum, now we have it. And mi gente, I could go on and on about the amazing work that's happening, the new developments, and how we are really facing a beautiful rebirth. It's time for us to seize the moment, and it is the leadership of all of us which will carry us over the finish line. And so let's be excited, y'all. I don't feel the excitement, but I'm excited up here. Things are changing. Things are truly, truly changing. And to empower this beautiful Bronx renaissance, we need to bring Beyonce over here. To empower this beautiful Bronx renaissance, we have a change maker as our Bronx Borough President. A borough president who knows how to get things done. A borough president who is committed to the economic development of our borough. This borough president knows exactly what she's doing. She appointed Rob Walsh as the interim president of BOEDC, where he is taking on, yes, Mr. Walsh, taking on ambitious new projects. We go back and forth. I talk to this man more than I talk to my husband. Don't tell him that. But it's true. It's true. you know, and our borough president continued to make bold appointments. She also appointed Sulma Alsu Brown as our executive director of the Bronx Tourism Council. People are seeing Bronx Week like never before. Yes, please stand up, Sulma. She has spearheaded and completely rebranded the council's website and social media. And I know the BP will make a shameless plug later, but it's simple. ILoveTheBronx.com. The end. We love the Bronx. And, you know, from day one, while I walked with her during her campaign season, this was a woman that wasn't afraid to ask the serious questions. She wasn't afraid to connect with business owners that she knew were struggling. She wasn't afraid to call the commissioner of SPS, to call on the mayor and say, come down from your office and let's knock on these doors and let's connect directly with these businesses. The pain of our small business owners is truly her pain. And that is why I am so proud to introduce the woman who every day is making the Bronx the borough of opportunity for us all. From her beginning as an intern in the New York State Assembly, through her time as becoming a New York State Assembly member, then a city council member, to chairing the Public Safety Committee, and now our very own Bronx Borough President, Vanessa L. Gibson. I know that under her leadership, we will revitalize our neighborhoods, and we will work on renovating our businesses. And so without further ado, give it up for the history maker herself, someone who I am privileged to call my boss and my mentor, Bronx Borough President. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias a todos. Bienvenidos. Welcome, welcome to our 24th annual Bronx Bankers Breakfast. We are so excited to welcome each and every one of you for this incredibly important Bankers Breakfast as we continue to affirm our commitment to each and every one of our residents and families that call the Bronx their home. This is also Bronx Week, so I say happy Bronx Week 2023. We are so proud to be the only borough in the city of New York that hosts its own week. And yes, we are that special. It is 13 days. We began last Monday, May 8th, with our official kickoff at our very own Bronx Children's Museum. And we honored our veterans, our centenarians, our business leaders, our leaders in the union sector. We had a silent disco. We held a health and wellness day with a skate party component. And today we are hosting our Bronx Bankers Breakfast. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for joining us today. It is an honor to stand before you as the 14th Bronx Borough President. For such an important moment and time in the history of our borough and our city, I am so honored to serve every resident that calls the Bronx their home. I acknowledge my incredible partner that does amazing work overseeing our small business and economic development portfolio in our office. She is mi hermana, my sister. The best decision I made when I began this journey as your borough president was to appoint someone that aligned with our priorities, that shared our values, that shared our blueprint for how we move this borough forward. Ladies and gentlemen, our Deputy Borough President, Janet Peguero. To our distinguished chairman of BICNY, James Lanfranchi. Thank you, James. Let's give it up for our distinguished chairman of the board. To the BICNY team, the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, our executive director, Rafael Roger. Thank you for your incredible leadership and your commitment to our borough. To our interim president of the Bronx Economic Development Corporation, our very own Rob Walsh. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I was so grateful to recruit Rob to serve in this leadership role. To our executive director of the Bronx Tourism Council, Sulma Alsu Brown. Thank you. as well as our amazing Chief of Staff in the Office of the Bronx Borough President, Justin Cortez. The entire office of the Bronx Borough President, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so honored to serve all of you every single day. It is truly a moment to reflect on, to celebrate, but also to look to the future. When I announced our State of the Borough address earlier this year, we were very intentional about making sure that everyone understood that the Bronx is a borough of opportunities. We are a global destination, from our cultural institutions like the New York Botanical Garden, the Bronx Zoo, Wave Hill, the Bronx Museum of the Arts, the Bronx Children's Museum, the Bregones Theater, all of our cultural institutions, to our historic landmarks, to our open space and greenery like Pelham Bay Park, the Bronx Riviera, AKA Orchard Beach, to all of our wonderful and amazing eateries from City Island to Little Italy. That is what the Bronx is all about. It is about amplifying the voices of the residents, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, our MWBEs, our financial partners that do so much to build this borough up to where it is today. And it has not been easy. There were many folks that often counted us out. They did not see our promise and our potential. They failed to see the beauty that the Bronx represents every single day. Hard-working residents that struggle, but yet want to give their children the very best future. That is what the Bronx is all about. We are a beautiful mosaic of the different cultures and ethnicities that we represent. And I am so proud to represent all of you. Today is an important opportunity as we come together to recognize the importance and the value and the contributions of our financial partners. To all of our sponsors that we have acknowledged, we say thank you. Thank you for not giving up on the possibilities, the promise, and the potential that our great borough represents. To Webster Bank, to TD Bank, Bank of America, Empire State Bank, Ponce Bank, JP Morgan Chase, Wright Check, Con Edison, Johnson Security, Salsa Caterers, Flushing Bank, Orange Bank, Ridgewood Savings Bank. Let's give it up for all of our financial partners. In this work, we must realize that this is about access and opportunity. It is about creating pathways to the middle class for so many of our residents. It is about financial independence and building economic wealth and power and prosperity for our residents that they rightfully deserve. We are often, sometimes I say it and it hurts to say it, but we are last in everything that is good and first in everything that is bad. But I have news for you, friends. We are turning that narrative around. We are turning those statistics into success stories because we in the Bronx are resilient. We are tough. We fight the good fight. We press on. We stand up because we know that this is about the Bronx. During the COVID-19 pandemic, you all saw many of our small businesses struggled to keep their doors open, to meet payroll, to provide the jobs that were critical, the stability that was important. And through it all, the great work of BICNY, of Bronx Economic Development Corporation, of so many of our partners like the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, the Bronx Community Foundation, SOBRO, that understood their assignment, that understood their purpose to lift up our businesses, amplify their voices, give them access to capital and grants and loans and technical assistance, making sure that small businesses not only could strive, but thrive. You all did that because you understand the PPP loans were not very favorable to our borough. Less than 10% of the loans were administered to Bronx businesses. Many of them went to other boroughs, and that is not acceptable. I will not as your borough president, accept the Bronx being shortchanged and ignored and left aside. We are no longer in those days. We have much, much more to look forward to with all of you. The public and private partnership is crucial to the stability, to the sustainability of our great borough. We cannot emphasize that enough. We are doing great work, and we are very intentional and strategic and creative and innovative in our approaches to get this work done. Earlier this year, Mayor Eric Adams announced the creation of $75 million of a small business opportunity fund in partnership with Goldman Sachs and MasterCard, and guess where he made that announcement? Right here in the Bronx on Jerome Avenue. And 7 local CDFIs were included in this partnership, but guess what? None of the 7 were from the Bronx. That's not right. And so, as I outlined in our State of the Borough address, the concrete steps that we are taking to strengthen our capacity and better leverage the Bronx Economic Development Corporation and the Business Initiative Corporation to empower, uplift, and strengthen our small businesses. As the saying goes, you make a promise, you keep that promise. And that is exactly what we are doing. We started with the 2 economic development organizations. Bickney has already done outstanding work in helping our small businesses recover and grow during a time that was often deemed difficult and impossible to get done. Now we are doing even more. SBA loans with a laser-sharp focus on the Bronx. We were recently approved for the SBA Community Benefits Advantage Program to approve loans from $500,000 all the way to $1 million for businesses that typically would not receive them. We want our economic development partners to be even stronger partners with our banking institutions. And under our leadership, we are also strengthening the Bronx Economic Development Corporation. Over the past 2 months, we've been adamant about making sure that the board of Bronx EDC is reflective of the Bronx. Very intentional. I want to recognize the board members of Bronx Economic Development Corporation, but specifically 5 new members that we added to what I call the A-team. Philip Grant, representing Hunts Point Market. Thank you, Philip, for joining us. We are excited. We have Winston Peters, a Manhattan College professor and director of the Entrepreneurs Program. We have Nayeli De Jesus, vice president of the National Supermarkets Association. We have Lourdes Zapata, president and CEO of Sobro. And Julio Reyes, the branch manager of Citizens Bank. Together, we will leverage those resources that have been available through our empowerment zone. Recently, the Bronx Economic Development Corporation Board voted to approve $10 million, and we are awaiting approval from the Economic State Development Corporation and the Empowerment Zone to unlock millions of dollars of Empowerment Zone funding that has been sitting in bank accounts for far too long. It's time to put these funds in the hands of our entrepreneurs, our business leaders, and I also recognize our merchants and business improvement districts, the bids who are the fabric and the foundation of our borough and our city. And as you can see here, it's green. Also, with Bronx EDC, we recently announced the Bronx Green Action Challenge, which aims to support our 12 academic higher education institutions to invest in a cleaner, greener, and healthier borough for students and future generations. It's a grant up to $1 million, real money, to a college or a university in our borough for the development and the implementation of a project to improve the campus's sustainability and reduce their environmental and carbon footprint. Creativity, innovative approaches, forging partnerships is what we are all about. And I am so grateful that all of you are here. We have to recognize that CDFIs and MDIs are pathways to prosperity. It invests in our small businesses, it provides local jobs, it stimulates the economy, and it is creating so much for the next generation of small business owners and leaders that we are seeing emerging across our city. As many of us climb the ladder, we want to lift others with us. That is our priority. That is what it means to set footprints in the history for others to follow. So at Bronx Borough Hall, we are very dedicated to this work every single day. I often say I wake up every day on purpose with a purpose, because I realize in this moment, for this time, this reason, and this season, our residents deserve more. And working together collaboratively with all of these partnerships and investments and access to capital, building generational wealth, setting families and businesses up for success and not failure, that is how we get the job done. I am full of hope, energy, and optimism, because I truly know that better and brighter days lie ahead. And so with that, as I introduce our very special keynote speaker for the hour, he's not speaking for an hour, I promise. I also want to acknowledge that on behalf of our great governor, Kathy Hochul, we have her chief of staff, Stacy Lynch, is here with us today. Thank you, Stacy, for joining us. The Bronx representative, Fidel Malena, is here with us. And to everyone, again, understand that we are so intentional. Believe in the Bronx. Believe in the promise. Believe in the potential. Let's get this done. Let's be encouraged. Let's be motivated. Let's realize in all of this work that we are role models and someone is looking up to us. It's that next emerging leader, that next entrepreneur, that next engineer, architect, designer, and they are looking to us for leadership. So we have a fundamental responsibility to do our part to make a difference in this borough and in this city. So with that, I am proud to introduce this amazing leader who does such amazing work as our lieutenant governor. He does not want me to read his long bio, but I will say that he was elected by the people of this great state to represent us as the lieutenant governor. He oversees, on behalf of Governor Kathy Hochul, our regional economic development corporations throughout the state, a new initiative that focuses on addressing hate crimes across our state, because we are a state of love and acceptance and tolerance, and we want to make sure that all of the work that we're doing on behalf of this state is infused here in the Bronx. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our great partner, our Lieutenant Governor of the great state of New York, Antonio Delgado. Thank you.
Love to you. Mwah.
Love to you too. See, I didn't read the bio.
I appreciate that. Keep that round of applause going for the amazing Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. The passion, the vision, the knowledge, the capacity to articulate all that this amazing borough has to offer, you embody it, and it is inspiring to sit and just listen to you articulate the vision in the way you do. I think this borough is incredibly blessed and fortunate to have you as its leader. So thank you so much for all that you do. The Deputy Bronx Borough President, Janet Peguero, thank you for your leadership and your ability as well to speak to the heart and to speak to the ethos of this community. Truly appreciate you. To the chairman, Jim Lanfranchi, thank you, sir, for your leadership and all the work that you do. To Raphael, Roger, thank you for all that you are doing as executive director. To Rob Walsh, appreciate you, sir. To the entire office of the Bronx Borough President, to all of the bankers and lenders in this room today, it is good to be in your company. It is good to have all of you in this space as we think about what is necessary to empower community, uplift families, support small businesses, and empower entrepreneurs. And to do it on the 13 days of Bronx Week. The Bronx is special. Now, for those who don't know, I used to be a hip-hop artist. True. After law school, my parents were surprised by that. Still might be surprised by that. But the South Bronx, the home of hip hop. Yes, you can clap it up for that. But whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the arts, there's just so much that this borough has to offer. And I'm excited as Lieutenant Governor and in partnership with Kathy Hochul to make sure that we do right by the borough. I'm also proud of the key investments that we've made at the state level, whether that's the $1.7 billion for the Hunts Point Interstate Access Improvement Project. Yes. Had a chance to actually just see a portion of the Cross Bronx Expressway last week, which is cutting through communities and creating noise and air pollution. And we know that through state and federal community partnerships, we're going to use that $2 million of the DOT funding to study how the state can best fix the negative impacts of that Bronx highway. We're transforming the region by constructing 4 new Metro North stations in the Bronx to travel to New York Penn Station for the first time, reducing commutes by 50 minutes. We're going to keep investing and keep unlocking funds and resources that can go into the Bronx to ensure that we are building up our workforce, to ensure our communities have access to training and technical skills, and of course, the ability to secure good-paying jobs. This includes historic investments in education and furthering equity across the city and the state. Now, I grew up in Schenectady. Anybody from Schenectady in here? No, didn't think so. My parents worked for General Electric. It was a working-class family, and I watched them work us up into the middle class. Started off in pretty small apartments, really small apartments in some tough neighborhoods. And over time, I watched them with these reliable, good-paying jobs work us up into the middle class. Bought our first brand new house my freshman year in high school. My dad walked me out on the plot of land, and the sun was beaming outside, and he said, "Son, this is where hard work in this country gets you." I still remember that day like it was yesterday. But I also remember what it took to get there, and I understood the power of those jobs for my family. Those jobs didn't just put money in their pockets. Those jobs allowed my parents to come home like clockwork every single day and ask me and my little brother, "Where's your homework? Where's your homework?" It created order, stability, routine in the household. These jobs create more than just income. They create opportunity, they create stability, they create promise, they create a world of opportunity for young people like myself, who grew up cutting coupons and putting clothes on layaway. So the work that you all do in providing access to capital and lending to communities, it sets the pathway for that. It empowers folks to take a chance, but it's incumbent upon us to create the environment as well. And that model that my parents relied upon, the GEs, the IBMs, you name it, that sort of big manufacturing anchor employers, that's not really the model that was able to sustain itself as the world got a little bit bigger and jobs were shipped overseas. And we have to figure out a new model to create opportunities. It can't be a one-size-fits-all. We have to be able to stitch together different communities, different entrepreneurs, different small businesses, different community-based advocacy groups to figure out how to collectively empower each other from the ground up as opposed from the top down. This is the new era we find ourselves in today. This is the intellectual challenge that we have to wrestle with as leaders at every level of government. How are we going to wrestle with this new paradigm? And the work that each and every one of you do is critically important to helping us figure out that pathway forward. That's what I think we have to really focus on and do that important work. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that it does start with education. Financial literacy obviously being a critical component of that. For me growing up, education was talked about as the gateway to opportunity, the great equalizer. My parents, like I said, would ask for my homework, but they would tell me I was a latchkey kid, come home, let yourself in, and do your homework, and this is going to be your ticket. If you study hard, you bust your butt, this is going to be your ticket. Now, they made that statement believing it would happen. And I am struggling with the reality that for a lot of our young people across the state, that's not as certain as it once was. That you could be trapped where you live and by your circumstances in ways that really aren't reflective of the progress that we preach as a state and as a country. The trend lines aren't what they ought to be. And it's important for us now to really be more deliberative and focus on how to make that happen. And that's why, it's important to note that the executive budget provides $34.5 billion in total school aid for the school year 2024, the highest level of state aid in the country's history. And for the first time, we're fully funding foundation aid for all schools across the state. Also investing $125 million to expand high-quality full-day pre-K, and dedicating $250 million for high-impact tutoring programs statewide. And it's not just about the K through 12, it's about the CTEs, the trade schools, the apprenticeship programs, partnering with labor, doing all we can to cultivate an environment where our young people can empower themselves. Now, from there, our young people, they need to be plugged into an economic innovation plan. And that's what the governor is working on by growing businesses in critical growth areas with targeted investments in industries like tech and life sciences and advanced manufacturing. Governor Hochul will also direct the Empire State Development to improve and expand existing business attraction programming to help incentivize new innovation, investments, and continue to grow jobs and improve our business future. You need a plan, you need a vision to operate within. With this strategy, we're going to bring more world-class companies to New York State, spurring job growth and ensuring our state's economic future is strong. We're going to also complement this with the work of our DRI program and New York Forward program. Now, some of you may not know this, but when I was in Congress, I served on the Small Business Committee, one of 3 committees that I served on, agriculture and infrastructure. In my old district, the 8th most rural congressional seat in the entire country, yes, we have rural seats in New York, for those who don't know, 27,000 small businesses in my district alone, including self-employed. We went through that COVID experience together, and we know how desperate it was, and we know how critical our banking community was to help us power through that period. I had to look small business owners in the eye, tearing up, afraid about losing their business, not sure what the future was going to hold. That lifeline saved opportunity, saved promise for that family and for those families and for those children. That work is imperative, and it must be something that we keep front and center, and not just through times of crisis, but in times of more security, to build upon that and to make it more the norm than the exception to the rule. And as we create more jobs, we're going to need to make sure that we're training up our workforce. We can't have all these jobs that we're going to create but not know how to plug people into those jobs and have the skill set to take on those jobs. And that's why we're going to do what we do with the Strategic Workforce Development Office, establishing more intentionality beyond that work to figure out exactly how to cultivate the types of training we need for the kinds of jobs that we know we are intentionally growing. A lot of this work has to be thought through in a very direct way with a set of priorities. And it's incumbent that each and every single one of us are reading from the same playbook. in order to make that happen. And it's also incumbent that those who are seeking employment have support, wraparound services, transportation, childcare. Now, I'm a father, twin boys, 9-year-old twins, identical. You can pray for me. They're a lot. And my wife and I marvel at what it takes to figure out childcare in our position. I can only imagine how challenging it is for folks who get up every single day trying to figure out how to put food on their table, support themselves and their families, and at the same time be unsure about childcare in America. We can do better. And I think we all can agree with that. And that's why we're going to do better. And Governor Hochul has committed to this. We're making historic investments in New York's child care system, making it fair, more affordable, and easier to access. This includes expanding eligibility for child care assistance by raising the income limit, streamlining the child care application process, and standardizing eligibility. There's work to be done in this space to show families that we care, to show our children that we care. The last point is sustainability. We are sitting pretty as a state when you think about the amount of investments that are being put in green energy and technology, and of course the Bronx leading in this regard about how to do this the right way. We are in a strong position when you think about the nation, New York is, to really push ahead. We have an agenda, we have goals, climate-leading goals that are going to draw in investment, create good-paying jobs that are sustainable for the future. We have the capacity with our educational institutions and our expertise to lead. We're approaching, I think, $1 trillion annually right now in global investment in green energy and technology. $1 trillion annually. There's a lot of money out there that people are utilizing to invest in the green economy. We should own that playing field, and we will. And it's not just with the green economy, it's with the chips, manufacturing. We have great partners at the federal level that are making this happen. There's a lot of money that we were able to score and secure for transportation and infrastructure, for chips manufacturing, and for green energy and technology. And it's incumbent upon us to create the right space and the right environment to keep drawing those resources into our state. That's the work that lies ahead. And for me, when I think about this work, it's hard not to get excited. When you actually lay it all out, when you actually see the different points that we can tap into and all of our strengths as a state, it's hard not to see the future is right here. It's right here. So the last thing I want to say is there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of divisiveness, a lot of violence, a lot of hate, and it's not good. It's dangerous. And leadership requires pushing back against that. The borough president talked about my work with the Hate and Bias Prevention Unit. I think there's a strong appetite out there for folks that want to feel like they're a part of a community that cares about people, that's compassionate, that's justice-driven, that seeks mutual understanding. We're not going to agree on every single thing, and we should in a democracy, in a diverse democracy. It's not going to happen. But take pride in our diversity, take pride in our democracy, roll up our sleeves, and do the work. And this is where we are right now. We have an opportunity to do the work. And so as each of you wake up every morning and do your jobs, quiet the noise and focus on the work, focusing on who you're impacting, on the families you're impacting, the community you're impacting, the borough you're impacting, the state you're impacting, and the country that you are impacting. Thank you so much for all that you do. I appreciate you. And to all the awardees, congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, one more round of applause for our New York State Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado. So we always want to make our guests feel especially special. So I said to Lieutenant Governor, when you get back to Albany, you're on the second floor of the Capitol, I want to see some Bronx swag in your office. So on behalf of all of us, this is our citation of merit to you.
Thank you.
To say thank you. And where would anyone be without the official Bronx Afghan? Here we go. Right? Just hang it over this way.
Look at this.
Yeah, hang it that way. Because if it wasn't for the Bronx, here we are.
What be going on? So tell me where you from.
Tell me where you from. All right. And we also have a taste of the Bronx. Okay. We also have a taste of the Bronx.
One time here, one time here.
Ah, this is good. You hooking me up.
Straight down the middle. Thank you. One time here. One more here. And one last one here. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think so. Ralph, what's in here?
This is our entrepreneurs food and different programs.
Nice. All
He
right.
wants me to lift it up again. He wants me to.
A taste of the Bronx.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. Bronx swag. Can't leave home without it. Oh, we doing the awards. Oh, right. Okay. As we continue the program, we are especially grateful to recognize and call up our very own Executive Director of the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, Raphael Roger.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. As always, this event couldn't be done without all of our financial institutions and the people who invest in our borough. But before I get started, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our original keynote speaker was supposed to be Adrienne Harris. And as we all know in this room, there is a bunch of testifying going on down in Congress. So she was called to Washington, D.C. And I know she has a representative here, Ms. Means. Thank you for coming down. And we hope to have her here sometime in the fall for another event to be named later. So yeah, I'm Raphael Roger. I run the Business Initiative Corporation of New York. And I just want to thank you all for investing and coming in and doing what you all do. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without you all, from the deputy, Janet Peguero, our borough president, Vanessa L. Gibson, our chief of staff, Justin Cortez, my chairman, thank you for putting up with the wild calls, and to our new arrival, the new president, I hope soon, he's still interim, of BOEDC, Robert Walsh. So now I want to give thanks to the folks that actually gave us the money to put this on. So, Luis, he will be our Vanna White for the evening. I want to bring up our good friends at Webster Bank, Nick Mara, Jim Lanfranchi. Thank you. For you guys, I don't know where, here we go. With Jim.
That's Webster Bank's official photography.
You guys. And next up, our friend Richard Desilowitz, TD Bank. Thank you. And Tanya Lamel.
Thank you.
Oh, one more?
The official photographer for TD Bank.
Thank you again. Thank you all for your partnership, everything. Thank you.
Be careful, yes, please. Next up, our friends at Bank of America, Carlos Santana. Please, and whoever you want to bring up from your team, please. And Michael Capelli as well. Please, thank you. Our friends at Empire State Bank, please, Jeannie. Is it Joanne, too? Who else? Come on, everybody. They're putting Rob to work.
Is this good?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be bothering you all
Thank you so
soon.
much. Thank you.
Really appreciate your partnership. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I want to bring up my old friend from Ponce Bank, Madeline Marquez, please. Yanni. Do it.
We're doing a special report or we're doing?
No, not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nancy. Can you see us, Fernando?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. Good job.
Thank you, guys. Say hi to Carlos.
So much. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, we're boxing on boards.
Yes. Ponce, JP Morgan Chase, please, Rosa Diaz, our board member.
Okay, all right. Rosa.
There she is. Well, everybody's coming. Do
I think we should stand in the front.
you want to, is it easier to be
Yeah,
in front?
Fernando.
Where's Fernando at?
I think it's probably easier. Yeah, can we, I think we should, Fernando, we should stand in the front, right? Yes, a lot of us. Yeah, let's stand in the front.
I'll let you guys go. I'll just stay here. Thank you to our friends at Chase. Next, if we can, our friends at Con Edison. Evelyn Oliver. Yeah. Please just bear with us. We're almost there. Right check, if I could have Joseph Coleman, please. Right, Flushing Bank, Gus Buitrago, board member. Thank you. All right. We've got a couple more, please, everybody, if you just bear with us. Johnson Security. Our friends at Salsa Catering. Please just bear with us. Is Danny here? No. If Danny's not here, Danny's coming down. Gracias, Danny. Orange Bank, please, our friend Anthony Mormile. And our final Ridgewood Bank is Dominic Chaccio, team. Ridgewood. There we go. All right. So everybody, please, if I could have your attention, this is going to be the last little section of our presentation tonight. We've got 3 awards we want to do, so please.
Want me to get them down?
Yeah.
Can we have everyone's attention, please? If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. All right. As we wind down the Bronx Bankers Breakfast, we have special awards that we're going to give out to 3 distinguished organizations. So if we could just have your attention for a couple more minutes, and then we'll do all of the networking. But once again, thank you all for being here. To all of our sponsors, shout out to Michael Maxnabi at BronxNet for always making sure that all of our events are televised for all of our residents. And we thank you all for joining us again. Happy Bronx Week. Don't forget, www.ilovethebronx.com. Thank you, everyone.
So this year, I had the pleasure of working with our friends at Webster Bank on a particular loan. And our friends got the Terrence L. Martin Award, which is our largest award for the bank that actually does the largest loan with us. So if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm not giving it out?
Is Nick still here?
No, he had to take a call.
Oh, okay. All right, so nice. You want to say it?
Oh, up front?
Okay. Let me see it, Jim.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So on behalf of the Business Initiative Corporation, the Terrence L. Martin Leaders Award is presented to Webster Bank in appreciation for your commitment, dedication, and support to our Bronx community on this day, May 2023. I don't know what today is. 18. Oh, May 18th. There you go. There we go. May 18th. Okay, I didn't know.
Let's get in close. For Baco, yes. So the next award is the Charles R. Johnson Award, which was in memory of the chairman of our marketing committee and also a member, the owner of Johnson Security Bureau. And this award goes to our friends, which is very special to me, at Springbank. Akbar. Where's Akbar at? He's here. Akbar, you're still here. He may have had to run out. That's all right. We'll walk it up the street. All right. And the final one, I want to call up our old executive director, which old, she'd probably kill me for just saying that. But my friend, Madeline Marquez, former executive director.
Young executive director.
Hello. Good afternoon. Well, everybody in the back and everybody that's standing and everybody that's having a wonderful conversation, please take a seat. This is a really good honor, and I don't want to speak over anybody's voices. So hello, good afternoon, ladies in the middle, gentlemen in the back. May I have your undivided attention, please? Jeff Underweiser, I love you very much, my dear. Guys, if you don't want me to call you out, please give me your attention. The award that's going to be given out, they deserve to be listened to, and they deserve it. Thank you very much for quieting down. My name is Madeline Marquez, and yes, I grew this baby that then I turned over 6 years ago to Rafael. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Vanessa. And thank you, Rafael, for taking care of this young adult now, right? And making it your own. With that said, they created the Madeline Marquez Economic Development Award. And this year, I want to talk about Cardinal Hayes Financial Empowerment Center, which just opened up last year. Through hands-on financial training and engagement, Cardinal Hayes High School is helping their students build skills for the future. The students are provided resources such as Wall Street Journal and Financial Times. By demystifying the financial concepts and teaching practical everyday skills, the school is better preparing their students for the future. They also have guest lecturers who work in the financial markets in economic development come talk to them about what they do in their fields. These tools can help them do more than work in finance. These are life skills that young men will need and women will need for their whole lives. This goes with the Hayes mission to provide every student with the skill to contribute to the common good and have the skills and knowledge to problem solve their whole entire life. No matter what their backgrounds are, these are our bankers, our developers, our entrepreneurs, and our financial professionals of the future. I would like for Cardinal Hayes to please come up. Michael Carey, Dennis O'Connell, William Lessa, and Daniel Burrow. Of Hayes. Does anybody want to come up here?
Step up. Step in. You come this way, right?
I'm being waited to ask.
Don't you have a gavel?
time here, everyone. All right, one time down here. Ready? Look this way. And one time for Robert. Right here, I want to hear a pigs. Thank you. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, gentlemen. We're all good. We're all good. So again, like I said earlier, this is the 24th one of these, and I want to thank you all for coming out. But our mission is always to provide financing, and I have to acknowledge our friends from the SBA, the SBDCs, the BIDs, SOBRO, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, the Bronx Overall Economic Development, all of our partners that are far and wide in Long Island, all the way up into the Hudson Valley and out into the Western Tier. Thank you all for everything you guys do. The investments are growing here in the Bronx, and what that means is opportunity for all of us in this room. I will be setting meetings with all of you based on what was announced here today to look at whatever the next stages are and to be able to work closer with every bank and every institution in this room to get the money and the technical assistance available to those small businesses that need it, here in the Bronx and everywhere in New York State. I want to thank my team. This could not happen without Phyllis, whoever Phyllis is, Andrew Berger, Luis Garcia, who is the Vanna White for the night. That's all the big team, the BOEDC team, the borough president's team. They were here very early in the morning to set all this up. We will continue to work with you all. Like I said, you'll all be hearing from me. Thank you all very much. Enjoy Del Delicioso Coco on the way out. Thank you to the Ramirez brothers for the Taste of the Bronx and to our speaker. And we'll see you all soon. Have a good Bronx week, everybody.